Hello everybody and welcome to an ARKHAM Town Hall with me and Daniel, where we are discussing the new Chapter 2 basic weaknesses. Like all of our Town Halls, we don't have like a general specific thesis for this video. I just haven't really dived in deep into these basic weaknesses from the new set. I think what will be fun to do is we can kind of have them in pools. I'll make some like spaces for each of us to like put like scary, like super scary, moderately scary, not scary, and we can kind of like go as put them in those boxes as we go. But this is the Town Hall. It's just open discussion, kind of checking out all of these weaknesses. I have them sorted by 4 little areas: enemies, asset, revelation, and then discard, and then revelation and then double action to get rid of. So like sticky revelation, and then this is a sticky thing here too.
That one's kind of sticky.
Yeah. So sticky, revelation, asset, and then we have the enemies here.
Can I start by telling which ones I've played with or seen?
Yeah, of course.
So obviously the reprints we can talk about at some point. But okay, I've seen and played with the Gold Bug. I have seen and played with Pursued. That's the first one there, I think.
This one.
Yeah, that one. Also Unaware, for that matter.
Perfect.
Syndicate Obligations, Wounded, and Overconfident. So the only ones I haven't seen are the 2 enemies up there. Maybe I've seen the... Is it the first guy, the Lurker? The guy who has Doom?
Yeah.
I feel like I've seen him very briefly. He might have been in like a 3 scenario of, Brethren of Ash, but I don't think... I've definitely not seen Miguel's weakness. The one that comes in with Miguel, and I've not seen the other 2 that are sitting there. Lethal Curiosity I haven't seen, and Hemophobia.
All right, so the ones...
Would be Love of Blood.
I've seen this one. I've seen both of these guys. I've seen the Gold Bug. I saw this one once. I saw this one once. Overconfident is the new weakness I get in every one of my decks, which is very funny for me.
It has your name on it, right?
I've seen that one. I've seen this one. I don't think I've seen Hemophobia. And I haven't seen Unaware yet. So we actually have a pretty good spread. The only one that neither of us have seen is Hemophobia. How do you feel, before we get into this, how do you feel about these weaknesses generally? Do you think they're good basic weaknesses, especially compared to the original core?
Oh boy, I think they're kind of all over the place. Some of them are tougher than others, but that was true of the original bunch, I think. But some of these are really, really like game or deck defining. Especially like Gold Bug, I think. Amnesia, Paranoia were always that way. And then a couple of the other ones are just kind of yikes. But that's okay. I think weaknesses should be hard. I can't speak about the enemy ones. I just haven't seen what they do, but I think they can be kind of mean too. Astute is mentioning that the Lurker is annoying. You have to go rush after him, and his Doom resets after every time the agenda goes, so that's annoying.
Yep.
Overall, I think, like some of them, I think some decks care about them more than others. Others, they are... I don't think you can ignore any of these. Maybe that's kind of my experience. Like, they're all impactful. Could also be with the smaller card pool that you just can't ignore some of these kinds of things. Or maybe even I would say that maybe this is just me, but Overzealous is kind of, I don't want to say like the softest one, but because this card does whatever the scenario does, just more. It doesn't really change your deck.
Yeah, it's like. Yeah, like soft isn't the word, but like dependable. Like it's not unexpected, right? Like you're gonna know what it does in every scenario. It's not gonna change what it does because it always will do the same thing that the scenario's already doing. I totally get what you mean by that. I think that for me, this basic weakness design is very interesting. Because I actually think they explored new space, but also still feeling vaguely familiar in ways that can be totally fine and then also absolutely crushing. It's a very interesting thing. And I mean, I think that and I'm not saying this in the fact that like, oh, like someone's gonna care more about like the three color like solve the hidden weaknesses from Carcosa, right? Like there's like everyone wants to move, right? Everyone wants to spend resources, right? Enemies are going to enter your location one way or another, fighter or not, right? Like this one, like everyone's going to fail a skill test like eventually. This card is actually secretly kind of just like overzealous, right? Like this card is actually kind of like sitting in the same sort of camp.
It can be more too, right?
Yeah.
It's rough.
And like people are going to take damage. I mean, like this one's pretty basic because this is kind of just like the direct damage ones, right? Like, or like the hypochondria or like that kind of thing. Yeah. And then like this one is a tough test. Like this, like Lethal Curiosity is not lying. This card is, that's like a mythos, like a Udmurdoth, Wrath of Udmurdoth style effect. Right, like this can be 4 damage.
4
Yeah.
A 4 test is wild.
Yeah.
Because usually I don't know, like a scenario is not going to give you that much. And then as far as it being a random weakness, in some investigators, all right, if you have this in Dexter, you have the juice to pass the test.
Yeah.
If you have it in someone else, maybe you're taking the damage. Maybe you don't have clues. It's a very punishing weakness, I think.
Yeah. Right now, Astute is saying they have this in Joe right now. Which is pretty spooky. However, with all that said, I think that the meta for these weaknesses hasn't settled yet. Where in terms of like the card pool, I mean, I think in current these are always going to be difficult, right? And I think that's good. Like weaknesses should have an impact when they're drawn. They shouldn't just be like whatever. But when it comes to like chapter 2, once we start getting more options, like they'll be able to be played around. Like even like the Nameless Lurker is a very spooky card if you are not playing around it. But it's one of those things again where you're like, oh, I have the Nameless Lurker in my deck, I haven't seen it yet. Let's try to stay in a central location. So if he does spawn, he's gonna be here. Or do what chapter 2 is trying to tell you to do. Like chapter 2 is signposting for you as a player to split the fuck up. Like be dependent on yourself. Like Lethal Curiosity is actually kind of doing the same thing. To me, this card is continuing to push the design agenda of everyone needs to be able to fight, everyone needs to be able to get clues, so do that. And I think that that's a very interesting thing to see pushed by these weakness cards, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, the clue thing I think is tough though, because the amount of clues you have and maybe like pushing the scenario forward, like it makes you play a little bit scared. Maybe that's fine. It kind of the way that Paranoia says, don't hold on to resources. You just have to change the way you're playing. And Nisha's kind of similar in that respect. Yeah, but usually you're like, I have the 4 clues to advance, let's go. And you might say, I don't know. We could hold off a little bit, but you can't do that forever.
No. But yeah, this one you can also like, yeah, like as the fighter, the theory is that you could just like, you'll probably fail by like 2 or 3 and you can just like take the damage, have the soak. I think there's like ways to play around it. We just haven't like, they're still surprising. Like if Lethal Curiosity is in my deck and I forget about it as my random basic weakness, when it shows up, I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, you have like, this is, my life is ruined. Which I think is, we're still not used to these cards yet, is a big part of that as well.
Yeah, I think you hold back some skill cards for this in particular. I think this is considered a scenario card, question mark. Does Level-Headed work on this? Oh no.
I think it does.
I think so. I mean, it's a encounter card, but I know they changed kind of the definition of what scenario and encounter card. Let's not get into it. Someone else can look it up in the meantime. But I think there's probably the easiest one.
Someone put a grimoire somewhere, right? Someone digitized the grimoire.
Yeah.
I can't find it. I can't look it up. Can someone in chat look that up and link it to us? Because I would love to look that up.
I think the easiest one so far, and this is maybe just because I've been playing with you is overconfident. Just seems like you have a little more control over that, and taking 1 damage is not as bad as unaware.
Oh, it's on Arkham build. It is. Yeah, it's just a little button at the top. Open the grimoire. I don't want the Fantasy Flight one. No, I want this one. Then we can look up scenario card. This doesn't help.
I'm looking too.
Okay, cool. I'll let you look. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It says asset, event, skill, and investigator cards are generally referred to as player cards, while act, agenda, enemy, location, scenario, reference, story, treachery cards are generally referred to as scenario cards. Enemy and treachery cards are also referred to as encounter cards. Okay, so it sounds like treachery cards should still be scenario cards. This is still a treachery. So
okay.
Even though it's a player card, it's not a player card after it's drawn. That's the whole deny existence thing. All right, so yeah, it's still good. I think level-headed is fine here.
Okay, perfect. And yeah, like there's that counterplay to kind of work with that, which is, again, I think is we're going to adapt to. And I mean, if you are playing Chapter 2 or Legacy, this pool is going to just keep going because there's always going to be new basic weaknesses that they discover. I agree with you on overconfident, though, and I imagine you've seen that in how I play with it. It's funny because I'm doing 2 runs right now, one with you and one with Beard. And both of the times, the only times that overconfident was actually removed, it was removed by the other player. Because, so like, that's the thing, I love overconfident because it's like my play style in a nutshell, right? Oh, this Trace put, the primary exception to the above rules are weakness cards. The card subtypes considered to be player cards when they're bearer's deck, and either encounter cards or player cards. Well, so yeah, no, then it's all good. We're all good there.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think overconfidence is definitely the softest one here, but it also can potentially lead to some chip damage if you do ignore it. It kind of reminds me of nihilism, but just like a softer version of nihilism, but easier to trigger, but it's still a softer effect.
Right, and you know, we played Legacy for the Silas and Carson run. Failing tests was just not happening. But if you're playing, I don't know, with the Miguel deck only, and you're survivor who like fails tests to, you know, then trigger Daniel Jameson, like this might be more of a problem. I just think that 1 damage you can plan for unaware after you fail a skill test is just, I mean, it's only once per round and only during your turn, but whatever the encounter deck throws at you might be worse than 1 damage.
You're praying it's a fucking enemy. Like,
you are.
This is what I was saying. This is kind of like overzealous in the sense that, like, on average, this is going to give you 2 encounter cards, because the Mythos deck tends to lean slightly towards treacheries. It's usually at like a six like a 2/3, 1/3 for that kind of design.
Yeah, it's less than that. It basically hits 30% or so. It's not. Yeah. Even a third.
And of course, this also can change. Like, imagine this in Miskatonic Museum, or in a more recent example, Longest Night, where there are no enemies in the encounter deck, and they just hit like a frickin' truck when they do show up. Which I think, again, I think. Oh, sure, yeah, you go.
You know what's funny? This is total non sequitur, but you mentioned Miskatonic Museum. Isn't it hilarious that they came out with Oops in that Mythos pack?
Yeah. Yeah. No, they were just signposting the design decision there with the name of the card. Just, oops, did we do that?
Anyway,
but, like, I think that I'm of the opinion that even though sometimes these weaknesses can be in unfair positions, I don't think it necessarily makes the weakness bad. I actually think it makes, to me, the weakness more engaging, where we can have these, like, stories show up that come from these weakness cards. Because if you think about it, right, like, say you look at all these weaknesses, right? How many do we have here? 2, 3, so 7. We have 13, right? So now...
doubles of amnesia and paranoia.
Yeah. So, like, yeah, right now we have, like, a 1 in 15 chance, 1 in 13 of the unique weaknesses of getting this card. And then you also have to be in a situation where you're playing Hemlock Vale and roll that 1 out of 13, right? So, like, it becomes like the odds of it happening are not small. Like, it can happen. But, like, the fact is that I think that it doesn't change, like, how unhealthy this card is. I think that it's like, I don't know, that's just like my thought on this, is that I kind of like that it can be these situations that it has, because again, there's all these other weaknesses. In the same situation, you could just get, like, I don't know, like, wounded, right? And you just, like, clear it out, right? Or someone clears it out, which is also, again, admittedly, very bad in Longest Night, right? Like, hard scenarios, weaknesses are generally just harder, right?
Yeah, I actually feel like all of these, with maybe just the exception of ARKHAM, based on how I've seen it, you can't let them sit around. There's, unlike I think in chapter 1, where maybe it's also the dex power, where it was pretty easy just to leave a couple and play and say, meh, it'll work out.
Yeah.
I don't think that's the case. Like the movement one, I've been playing with that one recently. If it shows up at the beginning of the scenario, you can't let that stay.
Yeah.
It goes. If it shows up in the middle of the scenario where you don't have the actions to get rid of it, it can be really bad.
Yeah.
And you have to figure out a way, because you are starting to count how much damage you can actually take and how much you're actually going to move. But I think that's really good for the game to make you make tough decisions. If it shows up at the very end, well, I mean, any weakness isn't so bad, and probably you're okay, although maybe you've taken a bunch of damage at that point, and then it becomes kind of awful. But I like this one to some extent. I think it makes, I wish it weren't as easy to make the choice of I need to get rid of it, but I do like that they're all a bit painful.
Yeah, no, for sure. I also do like that there's also, like, I think there is counterplay, like, not so much in chapter 2, which I think is a good thing to discussion, but, like, I mean a lot of people are going to be playing this game Legacy, so they're going to keep getting stuff. They're going to, like, play digitally, so they're going to have access to everything, right? But like, even if, like, you see these weaknesses, like, you can adjust, right? Like, none of them to the level that you have to adjust for, like, Doomed, right? But, like, even with, like, Wounded, you're like, you get that and you're like, okay, is there a way I can, like, mitigate damage as I upgrade, or alternatively find movement tech that works around it in some way? Like, maybe I'm moving during other players' turns, right? I think that this provides interesting questions, and not everyone's going to have access to it, but I think what that does is it further, like, defines the class. Like, for example, I think that Survivor and Guardian have an easier time with Wounded, and that's actually a class strength, right? Likewise, Survivor is going to have a worse time in Unaware compared to the Rogues, who are going to have an easier time with Unaware, because I think that when a Rogue is fully set up, they're less likely to fail their tests, right? But a Survivor is going to get hit by this quite a bit more.
So Wounded's going to ding you anyways, even if it's not your turn, right?
Oh, yeah, because it's each turn. It's each turn, not just your turn.
So move during the Mythos phase.
Yeah. Or the enemy phase, Luke Robinson.
Use that decoy trap to move around the map. There you go.
Yeah. Wounded has to go quickly. Same for Syndicate obligations.
Probably.
I think
you might get to a point where you're not spending resources anymore.
Yeah. I think that, like, I would get rid of, like, for priority, Wounded is probably, like, a tier above, but they're pretty close to each other. And then likewise, this hits Rogues more than it hits other classes, right? Like this is probably like Rogue and Seeker, because like later in the scenario, a Guardian isn't playing needing to spend resources as much. They already played their 1 million cost assets already, right? Like they're already set up. So I think that there is some cool kind of like class strength weakness, like, and class weaknesses that can really pop here, like how Mystics and Seekers can deal with Lethal Curiosity pretty well, but like Guardians, Rogues, and Survivors, like they either have to tank or drop their clues that they spent a lot for, right?
For Syndicate obligations, if you're playing, I think if you get this as a random basic weakness, just probably either you're getting rid of this or you can't play the talents, because that's every time you spend a single resource or the ability, right?
Pink Floyd, yes.
Ugh.
I found a button. I must have passed my investigate test. Thank you so much for the sub. Much appreciated. A few other things from YouTube. I'm Out of Here was with a scenario that you could not resign from as well, which is very funny for the same sort of thing. And then Dice Gods going back to Unaware. The difference between that and Overzealous is the cards are split out. Overzealous gives you 2 cards all at once. Yeah, of course. No, definitely. This gives you 2 at once, but it's kind of the same thing where this can end up giving you multiple encounter cards over multiple turns. Like, I'm just imagining a scenario where I auto-fail a test against an enemy I wanted to kill, and then suddenly I'm looking at a Treachery that's like dealing me an additional horror due to and also that enemy has Retaliate, right? In that case, I'd like rather have Overzealous, especially if it's a Treachery that then next turn, if I fail again, I lose another, I have to draw another encounter card. So it's like, it's kind of they're kind of like cut from the same cloth, but they're coming from different shapes, which I think is very interesting.
And you still get that enemy. If you're discarding Unaware, you still get the enemy.
Yep.
So good luck with dealing with that problem too. So it's tough, but you're right. You can get to a point where you're just not failing as much. I think with the Chapter 2 card pool just alone, this is tougher. I've just found myself failing more because you don't have the juice to consistently pass every single test. But eventually, it'll be okay.
Yeah, because like these are, this is the best time to talk about these weaknesses because these are the only weaknesses that are always here. They're always going to be in the current pool, right? Because these are the evergreen and the core set.
Speaking of Overzealous, though, I just love, and it doesn't happen all the time, so we're not talking about this like a normal thing or evaluating the card this way, but whenever that top card already has Surge, you're like,
yeah,
we did it.
Yeah, you're like Overzealous. You fucking suck. No one likes you. You weak ass card. Yeah.
It actually happened to me and PAX the other day. We were playing Drowned City, and there's the one task that makes you draw the first card you draw during the Mythos phase, during the first Mythos phase gains Surge. And it's not just you, it's every investigator, and both of us drew a card that gained Surge. And we were like, we got off scot-free.
Yeah, let's go. Yeah, that's great.
But there's nothing in Unaware that lets you get around that problem.
Yeah. Yeah, that would really, because like, correct me if I'm wrong, but if you draw a Surge card into an enemy, that doesn't trigger the discard effect on Unaware because it has to be the first card that you draw. That would be naughty. That would be like the game like pulling like a little sneaky trick on you.
Yeah.
That's really funny.
So what do you think of the reprints here? So Amnesia, Paranoia, Overzealous. Do they feel like they did before?
In my opinion, these are the 3 best basic weaknesses they've ever designed. Because they're the only ones that hit every class equally in theory, right? Like, in theory, like, Seekers have higher, like, highs, Survivor have lower lows, versus, like, also, again, Rogues have high highs for the money, and Survivors, again, low for the money. But, like, in theory, every class wants cards. Every class wants resources. Every class doesn't want to draw encounter cards, right? Mm-hmm. So I think that like these are the best 3 reprints from like the original box that at least I could think off the top of my head.
Yeah, I agree. I remember Haunted being from the core, and it was something that you just kind of usually cruise through because you weren't really using every stat.
Yeah, here actually that's a great thing.
That didn't.
I'm gonna pull up. I want to see I'm gonna just have them. I'll read them out here. Actually, I can just do this. I can do anything with the power of OBS. So let's kill current.
Yeah, go away, current.
Let's look at the original core. Actually, let's look at revised core because that's actually the more accurate thing.
I don't think it had any more weaknesses, though.
I don't think so either. Keep scrolling. Okay, so those are all the signature ones. Okay. So, Amnesia, Paranoia. Haunted, I agree, was kind of just benign. They kind of have one of these back for these two, which I think these are all right design. I think that, don't get me started on the wording coming around it. Like, I think the rules around it are a bit of a baggage, but I think, like, the design sentiment is okay. I think Stubborn Detective was unfortunately a bit too swingy to be a basic weakness, in my opinion. However, I do think that Mob Enforcer was actually really good. I think this guy was a very good basic weakness.
Me too.
Because he's basically like a paranoia light for somebody at the table if you can't kill him. But if you can kill him, he was requiring 2 attacks, which I think is very healthy. And I think Silver Twilight Acolyte, I wouldn't have been upset if he came back as opposed to the Nameless Lurker. I view them to be obviously not the same level of threat, but I think they're very close to the same like identity for what they represent for the board state.
Yeah, I suspect it's gone just because they didn't want to design around placing Doom on the current agenda to be like a beneficial thing.
Yeah, I think so. I think you're 100 with that one, but I'm very glad that Paranoia and Amnesia were back. I think that these two are just like very stellar cards. I don't like that they zoomed in on Paranoia's art now that I look at it. If I go back to the
Amnesia
original.
has a different frame too, I think.
Yes, it maybe does. Let's
Slightly different.
the color has changed. The lighting. You can actually see the back now. Which is a very weird choice. That's okay.
Yeah, I didn't know he's like in front of a desk or something.
That's just an art thing. To me, it makes it less about the amnesia and more about the scene, but that's okay. So I've seen a lot of discourse about Nameless Lurker being bad for the game. What are your thoughts on that so far with Mr. Nameless Lurker?
Well, like I said, I don't think I've really seen him. I don't think it's bad. I can see that they do have to kind of design, like they can't have too many short agendas. Like we're not going to see an Essex type thing. Because otherwise, if you can't get to this guy, he's going to just keep collecting Doom every time. But like you said, you know that this is in your deck. It's not like a Treachery from the Encounter deck that you don't have any plan for because you didn't play the scenario before. You're always playing with this guy in the back of your mind. We don't really have a whole lot of good aloof tech yet. It's not like the Beat Cop situation that we used to have. I'm trying to think of all things that work. So Guerrilla Tactics is kind of the easiest one in Chapter 2. But this guy gets way easier when you can just, tap a Beat Cop 2.
Yeah, and just kill him. Yeah, just nuke him.
Because you still have to get to him, engage, and then fight. And we don't...
Yeah, because it's when the investigation phase ends, so it's not even like when the enemy phase ends, which I think might have been a nicer change to have it when the enemy phase ends.
Right.
Because then like you could just like last action engage, take 2 horror, and that's your weakness, right?
Well, right, because he wouldn't be ready. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're Danielle, you still can kill him, right?
Yep.
Because he'll get Doom, and then you just fight, and then he's gone. You've taken 2 horror, but... Yeah.
Yeah, because I've only seen this guy... I think I had him in my Izzy deck on my first play of Brethren, and he never really impacted it too much, but that's because the maps are actually pretty small in the core set. But like I can imagine this guy coming out in Edge of the Earth, right? Or Innsmouth, right? Or as you said, in Essex, which is Nightmare Scenario, right? That's a frickin' like... Yeah, that's a frickin' Wizard of the Order just hanging out at the back of a train. And that's terrifying.
And maybe that's the biggest issue with this one is that it's potentially in locations you can never enter.
Yeah.
So maybe like connecting location would have been reasonable. Give him some other numbers maybe, but a connecting location, give him aloof, and...
Yeah, connecting location, empty if able. Yeah.
Yeah. Hunting dog, yeah, that helps.
Yeah,
it's just the scenario design. If you can't ever enter the location, you're staring at the guy up the Forbidden Peaks or something, and
he's just like looking at you with his 2 knives, and you're like, I hate you. Get down here, you son of a bitch. And he's like, nah. But then again, maybe they're gonna like also kind of take in tech that's like engage an enemy at a connecting location, right? Like stuff like that could be a way to circumvent these sort of things. Because I think what could be healthy is if the designers pay attention to these cards in playtesting and discourse, and maybe they think, oh, what can we do to give them more options, because this one's kind of sticky right now, right? And while it doesn't help in the the current environment, because they're not evergreen, right? I think that's okay, because then, like, again, I do believe, even though I have to take a little sidestep here. I do believe that every player will eventually play Legacy. And to the person who, when I said that before, they were like, they can't play Legacy, everything's going out of print. Motherfucker, when they rotate out of current, that's Legacy. People are just going to be building their own Legacy format. Sorry, that just has always been a thorn in my side. I'm very bitter about that comment. But
well, I can just add to that and say, are you saying that people who don't happen to own Dream Eaters aren't playing Legacy right now?
Yeah. Exactly, right? Exactly. But like the thing is that I think if they give like a few solutions and explore that color pie, I think that Nameless Lurker might become a little bit softer and they can kind of adapt to it, right? Like maybe they like with Guardian, with the Lethal Curiosity, if they just really embrace damage healing. Because like, say for example, like this card is in your deck as a Guardian, they gave you an event that heals you like 3 damage and moves you, right? Like that solves this weakness, right? So like there are tools, I think, to deal with them. It's just like Arkham players generally don't like to adapt, and the game sometimes will ask you to adapt, and you'll be better for it if you do. And I think that's the case with some of these weaknesses.
Maybe we'll get a reprint of your favorite Nathaniel Choate card, Get Over Here.
Yeah, or Relentless.
Not that one, please.
Yeah.
Well, that would help with for Guardians anyways, with Nameless Lurker. How's the other one, though?
I'd be down for a functional reprint of Get Over Here that costs 1. I'd be down for that.
What's the other enemy? I honestly have not seen this guy or thought much about him.
Not much.
Just an enemy.
Yeah, he's just the classic 2-3-4.
Just counting. Counting.
Honestly, this guy seems so like the tough part about Blood Drinker is that if you draw him when you have enemies, it's going to be a problem. But I think that's the case for a lot of these kind of basic enemies, right? But this guy honestly is pretty chill.
Yeah. Yeah, this seems great. Seems like I drew him from the encounter deck.
Yep.
I mean, this is another question I think we've talked about before. You have, should weaknesses be tougher than a random encounter card, or are they on par, or should they be easier?
That's a great question. Do you know what I would do to this guy? What I think this guy needs? I think this guy would benefit greatly from elusive.
How about some flavor text?
No,
big empty spot.
No, I like to paint my own story.
Fair enough. Elusive would be interesting, yeah.
So Dice God says, to answer your question, signature should be stronger, random basic weakness should be not stronger. So do you say that's a great question, Dice Gods. Do you think it's like they should be weaker than regular enemies or on par with regular enemies? Because I think they should be on par with a regular enemy. Like just like a enemy that you find in the encounter deck, but not like weaker than them. But not necessarily stronger for like the basics.
Yeah, they should be like a mid enemy.
Yeah.
Not something that, not like your 2/2/2s. Like that would be a really silly encounter or weakness, right? Because I want to meaningfully interact with it and not just say that my guardian with an extra bullet can solve it, right? It should be draining something from someone. Yeah, I think the signatures, they're a little different because they should interact with what the investigator is doing rather than thinking about maybe just like what the standard difficulty of an encounter card is.
Yeah, 100%.
So they could be easier, but easier in the sense that they're what they should be doing is taking away something from the playstyle that they think your investigator is doing. So they can be tougher because of that, but they might not be as tough for other reasons because they kind of know what your investigator is doing.
Yeah. I like that. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, because, like, yeah, signature weaknesses should always be about countering the investigator, not the table, right? And random
Right.
basic weaknesses, in theory, are just kind of like their design philosophy is counter the table, right?
Hmm.
And I
Yeah,
think that that works a lot better for just like a generically strengthed enemy.
that's my take. I mean, I think you can usually get through most of all of these cards, right? Easier than an encounter card. Sorry, harder than a regular encounter card. That's why Overzealous is what it is, because it
Yep,
is 2 encounter cards.
yep, yep. Yeah, and like in theory, this Blood Drinker is 2 actions, right? Like that's where like the theory of this guy comes. And like same with Nameless Lurker, when you catch up to him, big caveat is that he's also engage and like kill, right? Like that's like the theory for these guys. Gold Bug is taking away your accessory slot. So in theory, if it made you sacrifice something, it's like that's 2 actions. Like it's like 2 actions of punishment there. The thing about that amnesia and paranoia is that they can't really measure that as much. Like you could say discarding 7 cards is losing 7 actions, but maybe you just got those passively during the upkeep phase. Maybe you had a card that drew stuff, like you drew like multiple cards for 1. But like the general idea that the philosophy you see is that a basic weaknesses is 2 actions, and I think that's also why that's why I think that signature weaknesses that are just 2 actions are like my least favorite signature weaknesses, because they feel like basic weaknesses, because that's where we're kind of like taught for these cards here.
Right. Yeah. I mean, yes. Like, so Silas is, the one that we're both playing through is truly annoying, right? You can't let Siren Call sit around, but it's not engaging to just spend 2 actions to get rid of it. It's probably someone else doing it too.
Yeah, I would have loved if it was like after you spent resources for a skill, like put a thing on this, and when there's like 3 things on it, get rid of it. I think like that would at least like it would feel more engaging and less like a thing to just like press a button to solve, you know?
Yeah. Make it torturous chords or something like that.
Yeah, yeah, that'd be cool. That'd be cool. But like you can see the theory, and like what Dice Gods is saying is that Dice God is an expert at the the pedantic part of this, where I was not talking about in practice. It's like in theory, right? Like in theory, the design theory there was like, oh, this is going to go on the location they want to go to. It's very rarely on the location they never want to go back to, right? That was like the theory that comes with it. So it's like in the design theory is that this is like a location you want to get clues at, and then someone can pick it up and kill it, right? Like in theory, it's like you walk to it and just like draw 2. Oh no, I'm not. Don't worry. I'm not here to say it's bad to think that way, but it's just like it's like one of those things for like the interesting thing, and how the fact is like the reality of it is often not how the design wants it to go, right? Like so like to echo what Dice Gods is saying, it is ultimately more move actions plus the engage and the kill, right? So like that is the thing where I think that ultimately, if I look at all of these cards, Nameless Lurker is probably the one that's breaking this rule the most, which is probably why, at least in the communications I've seen in the online discussions, is that this card is the one that people are generally the least happy with, because I do think it is breaking the math for what basic weaknesses should be, right? Because in theory, I see the theory. This is just a move and engage to a location you need to get to, like an engage and a kill to a location you need to get to anyway. But in practice, that's not often how it turns out.
Yeah, and how often... So even Paranoia and Amnesia, right? We talked about those being... There's some high ends and low ends. I think for those 2 cards, since they're in your deck, you can kind of plan around, I don't stockpile resources. I don't stockpile cards, so these don't hit me as hard. But how much beyond, as you're saying, split up or say in a central location, can you really mitigate the worst possible outcomes for Nameless Lurker?
Yeah. Yeah.
And the difference there is that the scenarios are all different, right? Your deck for Amnesia and Paranoia, those are always the same. I can have a plan there, but if you're at one end of, I don't know, the Great Lift, right, in Drowned City, I can't get back there. That's just not how that scenario works.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think that you're right. This probably would have been just, like, cleaner if it was connecting location, empty if able.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or, like, honestly, nearest location without investigators, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like...
Works too.
Yeah, I think that this guy might have slipped through the cracks slightly, right? I mean, this guy also probably would have been fine if he was just came in with a Doom, right? And then the text doesn't have to change. And then it's just like, oh, we got an Ancient Evils, right? Like, and that sucks to have an Ancient Evils in your deck, but like, maybe you could go kill it. But with this guy, because he's a recurring Ancient Evils, like that can be pretty bad.
Yeah, too many things. It's also like the Gold Bug where, I mean, I still don't know how I feel about it, right? Because this one, it takes up your accessory slot, it gives you the -1 health and sanity, and it shuffles back if you want to get rid of that. It's like there's 3 problems here, and maybe it could just be 2.
My thought on Gold Bug is just like tank it. Like, I think if I get Gold Bug, I just like I give up my accessory slot.
Yep.
I think that's just like the you're just like, all right, you got me, game. I rolled this, and that's probably not like healthy, but I mean, like, there is the option that you can pay the 3 XP tax for it, right? So like, it's not like completely dead, but I don't know. I do like targeted slots when they're not the main slot, because the accessory is literally like the slot you use for the fucked up thing you want to do, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's generally what the accessory slot is used for. Let's actually see. I'm actually curious. Let's look at the Chapter 2 accessories.
There's a good number. Strangely, there's none in Guardian, I think.
That's crazy. Slot is accessory.
And none in Seeker.
Well, that's crazy. I mean, if there were 2 classes... Hey, Anonymous just gifted a sub again. Thank you so much for that. Much appreciated. That is kind of funny, because if I had to point to the classes that I would consider to be the non-accessory class, it would be, like, honestly, Survivor and Guardian. So not seeing a Seeker one here is kind of crazy.
Yeah, in the original core, you got Police Badge and Disc of Insomnia, at least.
Yeah.
So.
But, like, yeah, definitely Rogue and Mystic, I view them as, like, they really like their accessory slot. So, like, they feel it a bit more. Oh,
wow,
man.
if you roll this in Marie, that's really bad.
Yep. Yeah, because it's like, if you have the Bloodstone for more soak, your signature for more soak, this to move stuff around.
And you don't really want to lose the health and sanity, I think, on her. You'd love to have a full 8.
Yep. That's a tough one. Yeah, if I
just
got
wonder
this...
why they didn't just let you do the double action discard on it, like the ones in Hemlock Vale.
Yeah, it is interesting to kind of like see. I mean, like, I don't know. It is interesting.
Because it's an insult, right? You shuffle it back in, you try it again in 3 turns. You're like, well, I don't know. You know, I mean, you probably shouldn't. It's like,
yeah,
I won't say it's the wrong choice all the time, but it's probably not the right choice. And then, I don't know. There's just something that kind of bugs me about that.
Kind of gold bugs you about that?
There it is.
I do wonder if it was like if it was just, let's say it's like, put gold bug into play in your threat area, lose that second sentence, you get -1 health and -1 sanity, you can shuffle it in as an action. So you actually could play like something else into the slot to get rid of it. I think that would be fine.
What's Dendro say? Is it also you can't leave play without taking the damage?
Let's find out. Let's kill this slot and this set thing that we got down here. And then
I mean,
let's
clearly
search.
a two-handed weakness is worse. So they need to give you a way to get rid of it, but it's an easy discard, right?
Yeah, it cannot leave play while it has no damage on it.
Okay.
I think, yeah, I don't know. I think like Dendromorphosis is what I would consider to be a bad weakness from its design. For the slot stuff, like I would love it if Goldbug had the hemlock thing of.
You choose to.
Yeah, you just take a horror. Yeah, to shuffle it back in. I think that's actually very healthy design. For a weakness, it gives the player some control because, as I always say, when players have a choice, they usually make the wrong one, right? And I think that would be I think it would make it more debilitating, especially if they make it take 1 health and 1 damage, like 1 horror and 1 damage.
Ooh, that'd be fun.
And then you can shuffle it back in. I think that would lead to a more kind of like engaging sort of things. But yeah, like you can't, because of the recursion, you can't reliably keep an accessory in play, unless you do the tax and then you just eat the health and sanity.
Which I guess is okay, but you know, it's like in Indebted where 3 XP solves your weakness. This doesn't solve it, right? But at least it's accessible to everyone, Relic Hunter being neutral. Yeah. And you just eat the health and sanity. Ooh, boxes.
Yeah.
Are we sorting things?
Yeah, we're gonna sort things. It's a good way to kind of end this, end the discussion here. Let's copy this because we are getting close to an hour.
Okay.
All right. So what we're gonna do is I'll get this text tool, and we'll put like super scary, so scary, want to die.
Yeah.
Not moderately scary. I can stand it. And then not scary, give it to me every time. I think that's 3 good boxes to put these in. Oh, Daniel's schmoovin'. Yeah, honestly, we could treat this like a graph. You could put it kind of like between them. Kind of like, you know, like
Let me think about, I'm just like doing a first sort.
Okay. I think this is moderately scary. I think these are kind of like right here for me. Those are kind of like 0.5s. I'm always happy with an overconfident. I think this one's also kind of in there.
I need to figure out what to do with these. Okay.
Yeah, that's what this middle thing is here. Astute said it perfectly. I'll contemplate death but won't commit to it. Okay, I feel like it's tough because these are also kind of like, I feel like a lot in this like 2.5 area.
Yep.
First time each round an investigator at a location takes a damage, take 1 horror. That's probably fine. I think this card is super scary. I think Lethal Curiosity is the one that I'm putting up here.
Yeah, I think so too.
Okay.
These ones kind of depend.
I'm gonna make some big plays here. I'm gonna put these ones up here, and for very reasons, because I think they're all very similar. I think this guy is scary. I think Goldbug, after the talk about, is kind of up here for me. I think I'm going to round down and then round these 2 up. I think I'm going to go like this.
Okay, it's somewhere in here. We can pretend that there's some idea, but
yeah, I'll do that because I think this is where unaware. I think these 2 are kind of here for me.
Yeah.
We can let ourselves have a 2.5.
Okay.
Okay.
I think we ended up with pretty similar.
Pretty similar,
everything.
yeah. Big difference is I have the Pursued up in the middle one. Mostly because to me I can smell this card from here. People are not going to get rid of this card, and they're going to take 3 horror from it. Like,
I've been playing a Tommy deck with this, and I found it to be okay. I think he's got a lot of soak. Maybe that's probably why I'm okay with it.
Yeah, this reminds me a lot of Nihilism, where or like that one card, the one where you discard a card at random at the start of your turns.
Yeah, obsessive,
yeah, where it does nothing. Like, you read it and you're like, oh, this is fine, I can keep this around, and then suddenly you're like, holy, did I discard 5 cards to this? Like, did I like take 3 horror from this? Like, I don't think it's bad, but like, I think that it could. It's gonna be. People are gonna take more horror than they think, so that's why I rounded. Like, I have it kind of like here, but I'm rounding up. I think these 3 are pretty easy for the not scaries.
Oh, Orizal should not be at the bottom of this. This is somewhere else in here.
Oh, are we doing it like one of those, like, oh, these are fun?
Yeah. I will say that Pursued, this is kind of an interesting discussion we haven't had about these. I think you agree with this too. So if you play this game such that you're just like waiting around and drawing all of your fun stuff in the deck and then playing it all, and then you do finish the scenario on time and you get all your XP and everything, you're going to run into your weaknesses more often because you're doing the deck draw and looping, and the worse your weakness is, the worse it is. But something like Pursued isn't as bad if you just say, by the time this shows up, either I'm getting rid of it or we should just speed up the scenario. Like, why are we waiting around? The fewer enemies that we draw, then this just isn't a problem anymore.
Yeah, for sure. I do love this card with Swarming, though.
Oh God, that.
But I think that's so engaging how like a campaign can change the scariness of a weakness, right? Where like even then it can trick people to be like, I've played Pursued with like 5 scenarios, and I agree, this one is on the lower side, right? Like, I don't disagree with your rating at all, right?
Yeah.
But like, they get used to us, and then suddenly it's like they're playing Dream Eaters and a swarm of spiders appears, and they're like, I'm taking a Rotting Remains. Like, I think that's kind of fun.
Yeah, that's bad. And Elusive, as Stu's mentioning, would be really scary with it. But that's like when you say, I have to get rid of it, and then you do.
Yeah, I agree.
But I think you can kind of, like, unlike Unaware, well, I mean, actually, Unaware is sort of similar in that you can just stop failing skill tests. But,
I think I'm going to go like this. I love this. Guys, just so everyone knows, there's going to be so many videos with, like, this... I don't know what these kind of graphs are called, but I love this. Has just awoken something in me.
Enemies entering your location isn't really a thing you can prevent from happening, in contrast to Tychophobia or Hypochondria. I mean, that's true for the ones that you draw from the encounter deck, but there's still not that many of them. Like, the bad end is bad, but if less than 1 out of 3 encounter draws is an enemy, and maybe even look at what the encounter deck has by that point, right? If most of the enemies are gone, this isn't going to happen anymore. And that's something you can control a little bit. And if not, the 2 actions to get rid of is good. I think the problem with Unaware is that you can't make this go away.
Yeah. And I think that even, like, again, like, my higher rating is because I feel like people are going to let it sit. And I think Daniel's right. The proper assessment is look at the scenario, where you are in the scenario, and then if you can't win the scenario in like 3 rounds, get rid of it, right?
Right.
Yeah. Or ask Carson to do it because he has the actions lying around.
He sure does. He's like, what do I do with these actions anymore?
Yeah.
Get rid of overconfident? Yeah. I don't know, something like this. It's kind of a scatter. It's not a scatter plot per se.
I use yours, yeah. Sorry, I was like, these cards are. I was looking at yours for my assessment, but no, we're pretty. Yeah, like, look at then. I think like we have both Syndicate and like Wounded in the middle here, which again, like, you can just kind of like let it be, and then suddenly it's like, I let this be for too long. Yeah, and then on our top end, it's again very similar.
Yeah. Cool. That was fun. I like that.
Yeah, I did too. I definitely do see overall here a trend of meaner basic weaknesses, though. I think these basic weaknesses are meaner than they were in Chapter 1, and especially for the starter decks, right? Like, could you imagine, like, if we look at the Rogue one in comparison, like, do you guys even know what the Rogue one is? I do, because I got it every scenario, and I fucking loved it.
Reckless?
Yeah, Reckless. Like, just in comparison to the two, right? It's kind of crazy. This one is just like, commit this to a test. Pass a test they were already up 1 million on. What's the penalty? I lose 2 resources. Compared to this one, which in theory fits the rogue playstyle very well, which is just like, I don't fail. I mean, they already have the strongest card ever that's pushing you towards that archetype.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Marcus Sangstack, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Like, they already don't want to fail, so it's kind of like fitting with the same idea, but it's now like adding such a punctuation to the fail, which this one was just lose 2 resources, which is
This could
honestly,
have had a -1 icon, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I could have 100%. I think like -2 probably would have been like, honestly, probably still fine for anyone except the rogue. So -1 is like a good balance for as a basic. All right, bye, Marcus. Yeah. All right. Chat, any other last questions or anything you want to ask about these basic weaknesses before we close the town hall meeting? They probably did a design with the text icon subtracts and the test didn't fit. Good call. That's actually a good call there.
Could be.
Yeah. Honestly, I think they should have they could have just codified it in the rules. They have the power.
Yeah. I mean, icons on weaknesses should just always be negative. They could just say that. Isn't that always the case? Like the one from the Dream Parasite? I think those are they all work that way.
Yeah. Better or worse overall than the older cores? I personally think non-bias, like, because I love the original core set, I think that these are better overall, including the starter decks.
I think they're better. I do think there were some pretty swingy ones there too, but I think these are better probably for the game with a couple of
Yeah.
But we'll see. Like, I think they could have standed to, like, I love Amnesia. It's tough. And maybe it's just because I'm used to it now and it just hits hard. I don't know exactly about, like, these 4, how they're going to impact deck building and gameplay as much. I don't know how even it is what these are going to do over as far as design goes. Like, I think this is it's a rough weakness, but you learn to live with it because, like I said, all it does is affect your deck. And that's pretty even.
Yeah.
In terms of you have agency over that. And I think, like, Lethal Curiosity, because it's so specific about what it does, can be really rough. Now it asks you to do something different. And Nameless Lurker maybe is too scenario dependent.
Yeah, yeah. Comment for a basic 3 health enemy weakness, even if pretty weak, is by far more dangerous than the same stat enemy from the Mythos deck, just because it's an extra and can get out of hand, it spawns at a bad time. Yeah, but that's also true if there's no enemies that spawn, right? Like, it's the opposite. So it's, like, very swingy. And even in the situation, a 2-fight enemy is pretty solvable by anybody at the table for that 1 extra damage to match the 3. I think that they can show up at a wrong time, and we mentioned that here, but honestly, I would take this guy over every weakness here except for probably overconfident or hemophobia, depending on, like, that. Like, to me, I'd always roll overconfident, and then, like, I would want Blood Drinker after that. Maybe hemophobia if I was a survivor or a guardian.
I think with Blood Drinker also, there's just so much in the Chapter 2 stuff that says an enemy, yeah, okay, we can proc some stuff after that, like a Daniela, or all the traps, or Trisha's evade. Like, it's not, I mean, there's a 4 evade, but it's not, you're not without tools with all the investigators.
Miguel actually would love to have this guy in his deck. Yeah, I think that's the kind of thing. I think, I think that generally, like, drawing enemies is Not the worst thing in Chapter 2, which is kind of funny. I think there are more tools. This motherfucker triggers my trapping, and I'm sorry, my glassing, and I'm like, thank you, brother. Now you die. All right.
Well, I suppose the Nameless Lurker also can trigger glassing, but that's probably not how that
If it happens,
works.
you'll feel like a baller, man. Leave it on a victory location you're the farthest from. And then just be like, all right, we'll get this eventually. I'll draw the Nameless Lurker as we hang out over here. That would be such a fucking baller play. Like, if I could grade an Arkham, like an Arkham playthrough, that would be like 20 points, like 20 percentage points of your score compared to someone else who didn't do it. Yeah.
Amazing style points. Yep. I'm with you there.
Honestly, that seems like a great little challenge where there's like a... you have judges rate your Arkham game, and you get like style points if you flex on the game in various ways, in exciting ways, not just crushing it. Cyclopean Hammer gets no style points.
No.
Doing it with a fucking trench knife? Now we're talking.
Yeah, there it is. Do I get some points for On the Lam being relevant in my recent playthrough?
Yeah, that would get points.
Justin's like, it was in your hand? You didn't commit it to a skill test already?
All right, everybody. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this town hall. If you want to see more town halls in the future for various topics, please let me know down in the comments. And if you have any questions for Danielle or I, we do read the comments and we do respond, so definitely throw them towards us. What is the basic weakness from the Chapter 2 pool that scares you the most? And why is it probably Goldbug or Nameless Lurker? Because that's the answer I'll probably hear the most from you. Thanks for watching. Have a good one. And as always, GG's.